Oh my god, what's that in the sky? It's a bird. It's a plane. It's the very first review of 2026. And despite its very late release, has garnered a lot of attention and fans. It is pretty hard living the life of a superhero, but Dispatch also proves it's just as hard cultivating people into heroes.
Well, that's the problem. This isn't the army and these ain't soldiers. They're fucking supervillains.
Developed by Ad Hoc Studio and founded in 2018 by former Telltale Game veterans, Dispatch carries on the episodic adventure torch with a choice-based narrative-heavy game in the fantastical world of Los Angeles, where superpowers are pretty common among the ancient civilization of Los Angeles. The game stars Robert Robertson, a human born with no powers, who overcompensates for that with the use of a high-tech mech suit passed down within his family for not one, but 2 generations. As the 3rd generation of the aptly named hero Mecha Man, the mech suit isn't the only family inheritance he receives, as Robert has also inherited the family villain Shroud. Attacking Shroud's base in the hunt to enact revenge goes sour as Mecha Man is outnumbered, outgunned, and outplayed. He narrowly escapes, but not without a farewell gift attached to his back. Now injured, broke, and out of a functioning mech suit, retirement dances around Robert for a brief moment until he's propositioned by the Blonde Blazer, a prominent hero who works for Superhero Dispatch Network, aka SDN, to work as a dispatcher in exchange of the company repairing his mech suit pro bono. These choice-based games, the gameplay can be considered lacking by some who expect more action and less choices being made, but I say the gameplay for Dispatch is even simpler than expected for these type of games, while still offering something new to this particular genre. Like its name, you play as a dispatcher, sending a roster of questionable heroes on different missions displayed on the map. Each shift has a number of missions that presents particular scenarios. Most of these, if you read and pay attention to them enough, to have their own quirky storylines that progresses throughout the game. Some of my favorite mission branches was like the baby kaiju, the fights that somehow always break out at a stadium. But this part plays like a CRPG where, using the context clues provided in the instructions of the mission, you can assign a hero or assign multiple heroes if the mission might call for a higher skill ceiling that a hero just cannot do on his, her, or their own. Need to evacuate a crowd of people? Most likely you're gonna need a good amount of mobility to get the people moving. Being tasked to calm people down? How else are you going to sway them if your hero is lacking charisma? And with each successful mission, experience points are granted to level your character's skills up and continue to make them as well-rounded as they can be, or at least capable of handling tougher missions by themselves. But the fun wouldn't be limited to just sending heroes on missions and watching them head back to HQ to take a 30-minute nap. No. Every hero also has an ability exclusive to them and can be upgraded with some training provided by the Blonde Blazer, as well as a team-up bonus you discover when sending 2 specified heroes on a mission together. These assure that you're able to level your heroes faster and, depending on the hero's ability, able to quickly get back out there to the magical streets of Los Angeles to continue aiding those in need of help. It goes without saying, outside of this dispatch section, the game follows typical protocol of moving the story alone and allowing the player to make a selection of choices and explore differing story branches according to what you choose. These story branches, as always expected from these Telltale-like games, will claim that a hero will remember your particular choice, or the choice itself will affect the story later on, which is typically around the end. And of course, as we're talking about the story and writing in Dispatch is both hilarious and yet heartwarmingly earnest. Yes, it's another superhero story in the midst of so many other superhero media intended to provide the meta commentary on the hypotheticals. What if superheroes became corporatized? It's already been done and it's kind of overstaying its welcome at this point. But still, Dispatch offers a unique perspective that hasn't been given enough shine or attention within this genre, mentoring a group of reformed villains into heroes, and through the lens of a corporate ladder, determining what are the qualifications of a hero, and if a villain can truly be reformed into a hero.
I have fucking villain powers. I can turn invisible and skulk in the shadows. My powers let me steal shit and watch famous people fuck. Being a villain is my fate. It's in the fucking stars. In the same way that blonde blazer was always meant to be a hero.
And I gotta say, the writing shines through with giving a resounding unsureness, as despite these former villains learning what it means to be a hero, not all of them are on board, as it's so easy to put personal feelings and decisions at the forefront instead of to the side.
If you want the Phoenix program to survive, the bar needs to go up.
And how would we do that?
By treating the Z team like what they are, a bunch of villains. And leading a supervillain team takes a different approach than a superhero team. I need to be around them. I need them to see I'm all in, and they need to match that energy.
Some tough love.
The only kind I know.
Which is a pretty natural response for a group whose choices and decisions as former villains were always rooted prioritizing selfishness over selflessness, right? So there's frequent points of comedy where Robert, Chase, and this group clash in personalities.
Miss Blazer, maybe if you gave us a dispatcher who knew what they were doing, you wouldn't have to throw no one out.
Hey, Nikki Mirage, I'm standing right here. You can talk to me.
I wasn't talking to you, bitch. Which weak-ass superhero team did you come from? Fucking Geek Squad?
But in return, provides a massive payoff during its very serious moments.
The Phoenix symbolizes redemption. It's what you're here for. It's what connects everyone in this room. To burn up who you were, to become who you were meant to be.
Now, as someone who's pretty familiar with the way that Telltale games are typically structured, Dispatch is unfortunately susceptible to these same flaws that Telltale games are usually infamous for. For one, they tend to have this stick up the ass when it comes to a certain character who's the focus of the story, designated to be such a cunt of a person to deal with. That title proudly belongs to Invisigirl. Considering how smelly assholes are, I care nothing of the sorts for Invisible Girl's character development, despite her being the narrative of the game personified. Can someone like her with a rough background become a hero if someone just showed her a little tender, some love, and much care as a love interest, despite her being a talkable shit stain? In my house, under my roof, on my first playthrough? Nah. On the opposite spectrum, I instead chose for my romantic interest the cookie cutter girl next door who thinks doing anal is peak rebellion, Blonde Blazer. I really didn't care to pursue her either and was pretty disappointed at how limited the romance options were when Coop had me in a chokehold. And I'm just gonna say, leave a comment down below if you two are hashtag Team Coop. But back to the critiques. Even though I'm talking about the romancing part of this game, unfortunately when it comes to these kind of games, that always runs the case where there's an illusion of choice. And the reality is there's a predetermined story where there are certain beats that are locked in place. It will always happen regardless of whatever you choose. Another thing that I was surprised to see didn't happen in this game is the lack of environmental interaction where the character can actually walk around and interact with their surroundings. There were definitely a few instances where I thought that would be the case, like the bar scene or this scene with Invisigirl, or even in the final chapter, but it just never came. A bit reductive, but like, again, this is a different studio from Telltale's. For all we know, Ad Hoc Studio might have way less employees than Telltale Studio had at the time of their peak, so perhaps it just didn't fit within the budget. What does fit in the budget of Dispatch is providing a game that showcases why these episodic choice-based adventure games are still well beloved, greatly enjoyed, and despite how many years may pass, they will always maintain some type of popularity. All you need is a robust cast of characters and personalities who can move the story forward in ridiculous and sometimes unforeseen twists.
This guy is weird.
Low entry gameplay that doesn't require a commitment or dedication to mastering game mechanics, a likable main character that you can't help but root for, and the cherry on top, a unique twist on an oversaturated concept where underneath its comedic exterior,
bitch, my name's Robert, such a bitch, whose name is Robert, I'm a bitch, I'm a bitch, I'm such a fucking bitch, I have no hopes, I have no dreams, and a tiny little pain.
Does have heart, lessons, and a message that funnels into a humorous but captivating plot. And if games with a captivating plot catches your interest, I highly recommend checking out my review for 2025's unanimous Game of the Year, Expedition 33, where this RPG proved its GOTY status by being an exceptional game that delivers on multiple fronts, including having a captivating plot and story. But back to Dispatch, I highly recommend checking out the game. I'm pretty sure that at this point it will get a season 2. And until the next video, stay safe, stay healthy, and make sure to give Beef plenty of head scratches. Peace.